Chief Meteorologist Chris Bailey, we're tracking the severe weather threat straight ahead.
As we track storms across the bluegrass, hear from some drivers who say they've been battling strong winds all day. And hear from a Central Kentucky couple who tells us how thieves managed to steal hundreds of dollars right from their bank account. WKYT News at 11 starts now. Good evening to you, and thanks for being here with us. Tonight, we continue to track some dangerous storms moving across Kentucky. We have declared a first alert severe weather day to keep you informed.
Right now here on Winchester Road, it is a downpour. This is a live look from Lexington in the Hamburg area near I-75. A storm's been moving through the last hour, bringing with it heavy rain and wind. For the very latest, we begin tonight with Chief Meteorologist Chris Bailey. Yeah, guys, 2 lines of severe thunderstorms ongoing across central Kentucky as of right now. First line prompting warnings from southern Fayette County all the way to the Tennessee border, and those actually go on south into the Volunteer State. Another line that is just to the east of the Louisville Metro is right on top of Franklin County, coming up here very shortly. Here's what Live First Alert Defender is seeing. This initial line, the farther south that we go, the stronger the storms that we are tracking. We did have a tornado warning, as you know, for Russell County a little bit ago. Nothing that we've heard coming from that, so that is certainly some good news. That has been allowed to expire, as this particular storm that is just to the east of Russell Springs is ready to cross over into the western parts of Pulaski County, Monticello, Lake Cumberland area. Boy, that is right on top of us, and that means business. There is still a little bit of circulation with that, as you can see on Defender, on the western side of this area here, just to the west of the Wayne and Clinton County line. That is going to work its way off to the northeast, so that cone would take that little bit of spin, if you will, towards Somerset and Mount Victory and through the Monticello area coming up over the next half hour or so. So far, so good. Haven't had any confirmed tornado reports. Did have an unconfirmed report of a funnel cloud a little bit ago. So London, over to Somerset, Mount Vernon, down toward Mount Victory. This is the area we are really highlighting for winds gusting better than 60 miles an hour coming up over the next half hour or so. Now, that warning technically gets into Madison County, southwestern parts of Clark County, the south side of Lexington. But as you can see, the thunderstorms here are a little more disjointed. You're not seeing that continuous line like we are noticing the farther south that we go. Yes, these are very noisy, but the severe part of this storm may actually be just to the south of the northern flank of this, though we're going to keep an eye on it. Noisy on top of downtown Lexington, a lot of lightning strikes, and look at the torrential rains that may also lead to a little bit of street flooding. Jim, meteorologist Jim Caldwell joining me now. Jim, you've got a new warning?
That's right, new tornado warning for Garrett and Madison County until 11:25, Chris.
All right, let's hit the button on this. So this is our tornado warning that Jim is talking about, just coming down the pike for Madison County and Garrett County for the next little bit. So let's go in on this storm. Let's work back to the north across this particular area, and you can see the storms are lifting off to the northeast. So the storm that is in question here for Madison County would be this particular cell that is cruising out of Garrett County. So the northern flank of Madison County here into Richmond. We're going to be in our safe shelters right now for the possibility of a tornado, at least a radar indicated tornado, and there it is popping in on Defender. So as you can see, the polygon coming on here, this does include the downtown Richmond area. Jim, if we could take Defender in a little closer on this particular warning and show folks exactly what we're dealing with. As you can see, it is this little curlicue that is on the back edge of this to the southwest of Richmond. That is going to roll its way on from southwest to northeast, and look what is just to the northeast. Here's the Interstate 75. Here is Richmond. Here's the campus of EKU. You want to be seeking a safe shelter immediately for this possible tornado. Defender is at least picking up on some weak rotation on the southwestern side of this, so that tornado warning is going to continue as we go through the next half hour at least, as that storm makes its way to the northeast. So here's what we're zooming in on, and Jim's seeing this to the west of Buckeye, down around Tetersville. Here's the Round Hill area and points west from there. That little bit of a curlicue may be some circulation that the National Weather Service is seeing as that rolls its way from southwest to northeast. So if you are in Garrett County and if you're in Madison County as of right now, you need to be seeking a safe shelter immediately. I want to throw it over to Jim. And Jim, you're watching the chat rooms coming up from the National Weather Service, and you're scouring our Twitter and Facebook pages. Are you getting any kinds of reports coming from these areas as of yet?
You know, nothing significant yet. Now, some of the storms that were down in southern parts of Kentucky a little bit earlier. We're seeing reports anywhere 40, 50 mile per hour winds from some of those closer to the Kentucky-Tennessee state line. But at this point, point. What we're talking about with that storm, it was near the actual tornado indicated on radar was right near Lancaster. So it was that in general area there, and it's moving toward the north and east. But that's the only thing. New tornado warning also coming in, Chris, right now for Bourbon, Clark, Fayette, and Nicholas County.
Okay, so there we go. And that's the new tornado warning that we're just getting in. If we could take Defender full there, I'm going to plot both of these for you for at least radar indicated tornadoes that we are tracking as of right now. So let's put the plot on here for the Fayette County tornado. That is the southeastern side of Lexington. That includes Bourbon, Clark, Fayette, Nicholas counties, and that's upwards of 20,000 people. That's on the southeastern side of the area. That does include Winchester. It makes its way on up to the northeast toward Nicholas County, and that tornado warning that is out for Madison County and parts of Garrett County. As you can see, that will go until 11:25. So Garrett and Madison counties, that one includes the downtown Richmond area with approximately 33,000 people included within that. So those two storms that are lifting their way off to the east and to the northeast. And again, those are radar indicated tornadoes from the National Weather Service over in Louisville. And Jim, you're reading their chats right now and getting any indication of what they're thinking when they're seeing this?
It's just radar indicated only. That means that someone on the ground didn't spot it. They're just looking and they see the actual spin in the atmosphere.
Sure.
You know, one of those fancy terms of
Absolutely.
velocity, a little spin going on. So that suggested that we could see the tornado.
Yeah, and, and you're looking at these on Defender, and you notice we talked about it, it's rather disjointed.
Yeah.
So if there is any kind of spin, it would be a very brief and a very, very small possible spin up that you would see on the south side of Lexington, and that would include the Hamburg Pavilion area. We are included in this over toward Jacobson Park, and that includes the south side of town as well. As you get down toward the Athens-Boonesboro exit, that includes areas in Childsburg subdivision and points to the east from there. That does get to right on top of where we are out on Winchester Road as well, and points to the northeast from there. But again, Defender is only picking up some minor rotation with this as of right now. It's a little more impressed with some of that circulation a little farther to the south. And again, this storm with a little rotation on the Madison and Garrett County line that continues to work its way toward Richmond, toward the campus of EKU, over toward the Richmond Center area as well. So dual tornado warnings are out for parts of central Kentucky as of right now. Numerous counties included in this across the Lexington metro area. That's the southeastern side of Lexington. We know we have a couple of live looks that we can take as of right now to show you what the view is here in Lexington. This is, I believe, just out here on Winchester Road. And as you can see, the light show coming in the distance there, and we're also seeing the shrubs there and the trees that are swaying in the wind with this possible tornado that is at least Doppler indicated from the National Weather Service. And that tornado warning from Fayette County into Clark County, parts of Bourbon County, Nicholas County will go until 11:30, until 11:25 for Garrett County, northern sections of Madison County with that as well. So if you are in these counties that are under the tornado warning, here's what you need to be doing. We have a graphic that we can show you on that. That is, seek a safe shelter immediately. Safest place to be is if you have a basement. That's where you want to be. If you don't have a basement, get to that first floor on the lowest level. Obviously on that lowest level, get to an interior room. The idea is to put as many walls between yourself and the possible tornado as you can. If you're in a mobile home, you want to get out of there. You want to seek a safer shelter, maybe lie flat in a ravine or a ditch or a low spot. It beats a mobile home in many cases. And above all else, you do want to protect your head. So again, for these areas, you definitely want to be seeking a safe shelter immediately with that possible tornado that is bearing down across sections of central Kentucky as of right now, with those tornado warnings that are out for parts of Fayette County. Let's run those down again. North side of Richmond. Strongest part of that storm is now coming through the area. Jim, what are you seeing on social media and from the National Weather Service?
Nothing coming in exactly saying that we're having any reports of any damage, at least at this point, in our area immediately. You go down south, some of those earlier storms around Jamestown, numerous power outages, but nothing around the metro, at least at this point. And nothing coming in on anything that we have. And we're watching the Skycam too right now, Chris. I've got it pointed just out toward the south and west. to see what's happening out there. And so far, we're at night. It's going to be hard to see anything.
Absolutely.
So the only thing we're watching for now, or I am with the Skycam, is to see if we could see the possible dark figure off in the distance with some of the lightning. And that's going to be very difficult.
That's right. And that's our Skycam. That is looking out across Hamburg Pavilion. Hamburg Pavilion on the right side. That is over toward, in the distance there on the left would be the Charlesburg area of Lexington. And what you're seeing, those intense bands of lightning that we are picking up on, and we're seeing those coming from our live Skycam as of right now as well. Flashes of lightning continue all across the area, and again, I'm scouring our social media wires to see what I can pick up from Twitter or Facebook. We often get a lot of severe weather reports into the Lexington area, and not seeing a lot. Saw some Pea-Size Hill in Garrett County, mainly getting just a lot of lightning reports coming from central Kentucky, some high winds, some thunder, but thankfully nothing that would indicate any tornadic activity as of yet. But obviously with tornado warnings that are out, we certainly do not want to let our guard down. For this particular, we have 2 warnings. Running those down again into central Kentucky, that tornado warning until 11:25, Garrett and Madison counties, and that's about 34,000 people. That is downtown Richmond included in that. Looks like the strongest part of that particular storm may be just to our north. And also that newly issued tornado warning, the southeastern side of Lexington, also includes parts of Clark County, Bourbon, Fayette, Nicholas counties as well. And that will take you until 11:30 this evening. I can take the radar off there to kind of give folks a little better orientation of exactly where the county outlines are for that tornado warning. It's the areas that you see shaded in the red. That stretches from Carlisle into Lexington, and the other is stretching from just north of Lancaster into the Richmond area. But Defender, we're asking Defender to kind of look for rotation and to look for areas seeing the greatest spin. And right now, Defender is picking up on a little bit of spin that is south of Lincoln County, or south of Stanford in Lincoln County, I should say. It's not picking up a whole heck of a lot of rotation within the particular storms that are prompting that tornado, or those tornado warnings into central Kentucky. So we'll see if the National Weather Service will be holding on to those. And I'm sure they're watching their radars. We're watching our live radar that is right here in Lexington, has the best view of any particular radar that you are going to be seeing. And I see new severe thunderstorm warnings now coming out east of that, Jim, for parts of Bourbon County and Clark County as well. So they're getting a severe thunderstorm warning out as opposed to extending that tornado warning.
Yeah, that's what they're doing. That goes out to 11:35. And Bourbon, Clark, you mentioned, then Garrett and Madison also thrown into the mix. And that goes again until 11:35. That just takes the extension on out, it looks like. So they're kind of downplaying now what was the tornado warning and continuing the threat, of course. It's still dangerous.
Absolutely, absolutely. And we don't want to give any kind of false sense of security by any means. No. It's just that this is a very disjointed look. If you're going to get any kind of tornado activity out of this, it would be a very brief spin up with this much of a disjointed look on that. And we have that secondary squall line that is now racing on into parts of central Kentucky as of right now. But strongest part of this storm that is impacting the Lexington area and points to the east is right on top of Interstate 64 and Highway 60 there, Winchester Road / Lexington Road, depending on which way you're traveling. Obviously, it's now not too far away from Winchester. It's in northern parts of Clark County near the Clintonville area here into the southern parts of Bourbon County, and that's going to continue to work its way on off to the east and to the northeast. We do have the storm tracks on there. And Defender says, all right, the best rotation that I'm seeing is with this storm that is actually to the south of Stanford and Lincoln County.
Well, they're issuing more warnings in that general area, too. You've got a new severe thunderstorm warning. This is severe for Jackson, Knox, Laurel, McCrary.
That's right.
A big chunk of them.
I see London, Laurel County now under that newly issued severe thunderstorm warning for that mess that continues to work its way quickly to the east and to the northeast. And these storms are prolific lightning producers. I want to go back, see if we can go back to that live shot again here in Lexington to see exactly how things are looking, or if we have our tower cam shot that we could take again, because the lightning strikes are going to be awfully prolific with this type of a setup that we're seeing. That's the live shot out front of the station, just down the road from the station on Winchester Road, as we look out across the Winchester Road area. You see the storm kind of letting up a bit in this vicinity because the heaviest part of that storm, Jim, is now over into parts of Clark County, right on the Fayette-Clark County line.
And just as you say that, Garrett County, they're out of the tornado warning now, so that's been dropped for them. Of course, it continues for Madison County for the next little bit, and then, of course, the severe thunderstorm extension that moves on toward the east out there.
Sure, exactly right. And recapping those particular warnings, they've chopped a little bit of that warning off of Garrett County. So Garrett County, you're no longer included in that severe thunderstorm warning that is out for the Madison County area now alone, included in that. That goes until 11/25. And also see parts of that Fayette County one being chopped away a little bit as well. That includes, still includes southeastern parts of Fayette County, Bourbon County, Clark County, Nicholas County. We're included in that, and that will take us until 11:30. So we still have another 15 minutes or so for these particular warnings that we are going through. And again, if you're in these particular counties, safest place you want to be is in a basement. And if you don't have a basement, get to that interior room on the lowest floor. Protect your head. We go to schools and we tell the kiddos out there, you know what, put on a helmet if there's a tornado warning for where you live. Any kind of a hard hat. It may be an old football helmet that you got laying around, a work hat. Put that on. That is the #1 thing that you should be doing if you are in the areas that are under a tornado warning. That is protecting your head above all else. Get to that interior room. Put as many walls between where you are and the possible tornado as you can. So get to the center part of that room and try to surround yourself with walls. That gives you more and more protection and on that lowest floor. And I know we have some mobile home communities out there, and we have mobile homes. If you're in one of those, you're in the warned areas, you want to get out of that and try to find a sturdy structure that will provide much more in the way of protection for where you and your family may be right now. And if you're caught outdoors, you want to get flat immediately. Jim, what else are you seeing right now?
All right, now they have just canceled the tornado warning for Fayette County, Chris, here in just the last couple of minutes, but it continues for the folks in Bourbon, Clark, and Nicholas County. So that'll continue all the way out until 11:30 for those areas. Bourbon, Clark, and Nicholas still included in the tornado warning, Chris.
Okay, good deal on that one. And so Fayette County, the all clear being sounded because that particular line is now pushing on out. Next line is just to our west. That's going to come barreling through here over the next half hour to 45 minutes or so. But of immediate concern, the tornado warnings that are out that Jim just said we can sound the all clear on the extreme western side of Clark County as well, right on the Clark-Fayette County line. It is for this particular part of the storm that we're seeing the National Weather Service issuing a warning for this. It's the one that is basically right on top of the area that is lifting its way to the east and to the northeast. So that's going to work its way. It may actually clip northern parts of Montgomery County, but more importantly, it's going to head over toward the North Middletown area into southern parts of Paris in Bourbon County. Coming up very, very shortly. Little bit of rotation continues to show up on Defender to our southwest. Want to put the storm tracks back on here to see if Defender is picking up on any of that rotation across central Kentucky. It still wants to really hone in on that rotation on the south side of Stanford there into Lincoln County. So folks around Berea may want to just seek that safe shelter to be proactive before that particular storm makes its way on into town. Greatest part of the storm that prompted that tornado warning into Madison County is now just off to the north of downtown Richmond. It is affecting the Hillcrest area and points to the north toward Red House. That is getting very close to the Fayette and Madison County line, and that may kind of join forces to impact southern parts of Clark County, an area that is getting hit on the north side and on the southwest side as well from this particular potential troublemakers, the dual troublemakers that may have at least some funnel clouds, if not some weak rotation, an isolated tornado with both of those storms lifting off to the northeast, Jim.
That same storm that caused the problems there for Garrett County and for Madison County, getting a report now from law enforcement out of that area that a power transformer blew. So there's some damage coming in from that one. Had some strong winds pass through. And then getting within the last few minutes, getting a report of around a 54 mile per hour wind gust into Clark County from the same storm that's impacting the folks and exiting Fayette County right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And the wind has always been the calling card for these storms this afternoon into this evening. You're getting those gusts being transported from upstairs. Winds just off the surface are screaming at better than 80 to 100 miles an hour. So any bit of thunderstorm action is going to try to transport some of those winds on toward the south or toward the ground, and that's obviously where we live. So you get these thunderstorms to come through, that's going to produce some wind damage in a hurry into parts of central Kentucky. Now, I don't want to leave folks in southern Kentucky out because you have gusty winds coming in to these particular areas. All those counties that you see shaded with the yellow outlines, those are severe thunderstorm warnings. London, Corbin, Somerset, Whitley City, Williamsburg, we are included in that. London, you got a good heads up. Likewise on that Interstate 75 corridor, because it's going to be at least another 20, 25 minutes or 30 minutes or so before that line actually gets to you. So the National Weather Service down in Jackson being very proactive in getting those warnings out well in advance. And again, the trouble spots across the Lexington Metro on the east side now and in the northern parts of Madison County, where we continue to track tornado warnings. Jim, you're scouring our Twitter feeds, our Facebook feeds. What are you finding out?
Still no major reports of any damage.
It's always great to hear.
Yeah, that's positive news. We're not getting anything like that, and at least at the moment, just continuing to see the power report out there from Garrett County. That's the last solid report that came out, and of course the winds continue to get worse out in front of that cluster of thunderstorms.
Yeah, absolutely. And one thing we're going to have to watch for here across parts of Clark County is that storm that is coming out of Madison County is really going to try to perhaps join forces with that storm that is already in progress across Clark County. So we may get what is known as cell merger. And now I see a newly issued severe thunderstorm warning popping out ahead of that. That is from the National Weather Service down in Jackson. So they're getting those warnings out way in advance. That is a newly issued severe thunderstorm warning that is out for all those counties that are just popping in. That will take us until midnight. And that severe thunderstorm warning includes the Bath County area, Estill, Fleming, Menifee, Montgomery, and Powell. That's about 25,000 people or so included in that particular warning. And it's for the same storms that prompted those tornado warnings into sections of central Kentucky.
And they even mentioned that. Right now, the main threat would be the strong straight line winds, but they also say possible tornadic activity. They're basically saying that, yeah, it could happen if the spin is certainly associated with it. But right now, it's a severe thunderstorm warning that's still just as bad.
Yeah, absolutely. And that next round, Jim, that is just off to our west, new severe thunderstorm warning has just popped in for northern parts of Franklin County, and that includes northern parts of Shelby County as well. So areas just north of Frankfort, that includes Peaks Mill. We're now into a newly issued severe thunderstorm warning that will take us until 11:50. That's a little better than 5,000 people. And it's that line, Jim, that is right along the actual cold front. As that cold front works its way through the area, that will put an end to the severe weather threat. But we've been kind of promoting the fact that we would see two lines of thunderstorms working across the area. That is indeed what we're seeing, and it's that second line that will be the actual cold front that puts an end to that severe weather threat as we go through the overnight. But again, for eastern Kentucky, your night's just beginning.
Yeah, because you've got a watch that goes out to 5 o'clock, and as active as these storms are, and the instability that's still hanging out there in eastern Kentucky, which means they're going to get fed a little bit more.
Yeah.
This could continue all the way up to that time.
Yeah, exactly right. So here's that first line of thunderstorms that we're tracking right on top of the area. Second line is back just to our west. So both of those lines are going to continue to roll their way on toward the east. But as we continue to watch the tornado warnings, and Jim's looking, I know the tornado warning down in Madison County is set to expire coming up here in just a matter of a couple of minutes. We'll see what the National Weather Service decides to do with that. But no reports of any significant damage coming in from these areas.
And nothing that I've seen so far. And here's another positive, as you were just talking about, once that line clears, that back line, big chunk of the area taken out of the watch, out of the tornado watch, as that line passes on through, and already seeing some of the counties drop off as that situation starts to get better.
Yeah.
And they've also just dropped a few more warnings just out to our west as well. So,
Henry, Trimble counties, I see issued for that. But an update on those possible tornadic storms. And again, we're looking at this. I'm looking at Defender, knowing the nature of Defender and it being the most powerful live Doppler radar in the state. It's saying that if we do get anything out of this